Sofia Carson is back again, and this time she satisfies all our enemies to lovers trope needs. Purple Hearts just dropped on Netflix last month, and it's been quite a roller coaster of emotions. In today's video, we'll talk about Sofia Carson's involvement in the movie's soundtrack and what the most emotional song from the movie means to her. Spoiler alert, it's pretty sad. So sit back, relax, and let's dive right in. First up, it's official. Sofia Carson's pen is magic. If you're like us, then you too have probably seen the movie way too many times to count and have been crying, clutching onto a tub of rocky road, because nothing soothes tears like good old ice cream. And while seeing Nicholas Galitzine in his Netflix debut was a sight for sore eyes, it'd be criminal to miss Sofia's whimsical voice in the background. The 29-year-old singer-songwriter not only played the headstrong female lead Cassie Salazar, in fact, she also played a huge role in the movie's soundtrack. Talk about a talent overload! Carson already has a pretty successful music career, and she's quite famous for writing songs that compress complex human emotions. She's basically the Latina Taylor Swift, and that's why she wrote a good chunk of the soundtrack for her movie Purple Hearts. When she was asked about the inspiration behind the opening track of the film, Carson opened up almost immediately about the process behind it. The song Come Back Home is a reflection of the relationship between the leads as they make sense of their journey as a military couple. The lyrics of the song are filled with longing for a person who's far, far away and how that person on the other side feels lost without their lover. After the success of the song in the movie, Cassie calls Luke her muse, and not gonna lie, that made us swoon. While the nickname was supposed to be an endearing bit in the film, Come Back Home represents exactly that. It's like an artist calling out to their muse, stripping down their layers to become vulnerable and accept that it's okay to be afraid and want things to go back to normal. And with the year we've had thanks to COVID, don't we all wish for that? Now, you must be wondering, did Sofia write the entire soundtrack herself? While we wish that were the case, unfortunately, it wasn't all Sofia. Even though that girl has been writing her own songs since she was 10, her debut as a soundtrack producer required a little help from some of her favorite songwriters. And a good thing Netflix trusted her enough to bring Justin Tranter on board, because the songs do have his magic. Sofia explained that when she sent the script to Justin, he too fell in love with Cassie and the message she represented, and the two immediately started writing down original songs to get her message across. And while they wrote brilliant songs like Come Back Here, Feel It Still, and I Hate the Way, which by the way is our fave, they also chose some covers for Cassie to perform to show her growth as a musician. And that is exactly how we ended up with an awesome rendition of Sweet Caroline at the start of the movie. Next, what was the writing process like for Sofia? In the movie, Cassie clanks a pen against the railing at the bar she works at and tries to come up with a melody for the song as she repeats the words Come Back Home and records them on her phone. The inspiration for this comes to her when her fake husband, leaves for his military tour in Iraq, and she unconsciously weaves that distance into her music. And while these little moments seemed effortless for our leading lady, the actual process was far from what we saw on screen. Sofia describes the writing for Purple Hearts as terrifying and even admitted that her mom can attest to that. Carson doubted her ability to write songs for the movie and even said, "Who thought I could do this? Who trusted me to do this? I've never written a soundtrack before." But like Justin Bieber once said, never say never, because if Sofia had chickened out, we might have never gotten our sad anthem of the year. So how was it like Sofia to play Cassie? Carson describes her character Cassie as one of the biggest acting challenges of her career. In an interview with The Wrap, she shared that she and Cassie are two very different people. Even though they share the same passion for music and pen down their thoughts into powerful songs, Sofia says she is much more organized than her messy on-screen counterpart. After all, Cassandra Salazar is a struggling musician who isn't afraid to speak her mind. Cassie's tough and has been through a lot in life to expect her life to be a fairy tale. Sofia even calls the character the antithesis of herself. Because there was such a stark difference in their personalities, Elizabeth Rosenbaum, the director of the film, had to work hard to guide Sofia to separate herself from her character. She also had to do a complete 180 with her style to sort of fit into Cassie's rock and roll persona. And it got us thinking, is there anything this woman can't pull off? And finally, let's talk about the music video for the song. Aside from the stunning visuals of the film, Sofia released her version of the music video Come Back Home earlier this week, and of course, it was pretty much perfect. In the music video, Sofia walks over to a piano at the beach, the waves of the the ocean crashing against the shore, making it look like the perfect pick-me-up after a long day at work. As Sofia sings, her voice seems gentle against the breeze and every emotion comes crashing down with every move she makes. In between the video, there are some scenes from the epilogue of the movie when Luke and Cassie are at the beach, happy, free, and just so in love with each other. And while that made our hearts swell in our chests, it also had us wondering, when is that going to be us? Do we need to get into a fake marriage too? Will we find our Luke, or do we install Bumble again? Or maybe we really need to consider shifting to Oceanside this summer. And now, moving on to other news. Starting with Nick and Sofia's jaw-dropping chemistry in Purple Hearts. We know what you're thinking, and we agree, two hot people unable to keep their hands off each other is our favorite movie genre too. But would you believe us if we told you that Nick and Sofia didn't really know each other that well when they shot their scenes together? Before the cameras rolled in, the two had only met each other on a Zoom call. And the next thing they know, their characters were getting married. But even across the screens, one could feel their chemistry sizzle. And even with not much time to get to know each other, like their characters, they delivered their best performances of the year. Next up, Sofia drops words of wisdom for up-and-coming actors in Hollywood. By now, Carson is probably a Hollywood veteran. Having her debut on the Disney Channel, we've literally seen her grow up before our eyes. And that's why she has life-changing advice for newbies that she's learned over the years from her experience as a famous person. In a recent interview with ET, Sofia said that all the glamour of Hollywood gets pretty overwhelming for those who are exposed to it for the first time. It's very easy to lose yourself under the cameras, the lights, and the glitter. And it's also natural to worry about making it big and wondering what's next. But at the end of the day, it should be just about enjoying the present and being in the right now. And we don't know about you, but that is one piece of advice we all could use. And finally, if you loved Netflix's Purple Hearts, then you might want to give Persuasion a try too. Okay, sure, it's not your typical period adaptation, but it's got its own quirks. Think Dickinson meets Fleabag, and there you have it, a perfectly seasoned Persuasion. Starring Dakota Johnson, Cosmo Jarvis, and Henry Golding, Persuasion is an adaptation of the novel by the same name written by none other than Jane Austen. It's about a woman who's lost the love of her life to a world that forbade their romance, but then ends up meeting him again after 8 long years. The film is an ode to second chances and is about Anne Elliot's struggle with belonging to a place and person. It's received a lot of praise for doing something new, but it's also gotten heat from die-hard fans for ruining the essence of Anne from the books. And while all that noise is probably true, the film's fun in its own goofy way, and if you're looking to spend a Friday night without using too much of your brain, then this movie's the one for you. And that's a wrap for this video. How did you like the song Come Back Home? Let us know in the comment section down below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more awesome videos like this. Until then, see you in the next one.